Welcome to the Tailrace podcast. We hope this helps you figure it out. We believe that when people discover truth and love, they come alive. I'm Sarah and I'm joined by Erica today, and we have Carly on the podcast.
Carly is an incredible mum of two, and today she's sharing around forgiveness and what it means to forgive others. She also talks a lot about taking time to reflect and to really consider where you're at spiritually. One of the things that I love about this conversation is just that current theme of humility. We know that humility helps us to grow, it helps us to let go of our hurts and to ultimately forgive people.
And we could all be a little bit more humble sometimes.
Absolutely, we all need some humility. So on that note, let's hear what they have to say.
Carly, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really, really exciting. I'm really excited to hear what comes out of this conversation today, so thank you.
Pressure's on.
Just before, actually, we were just having a quick little conversation about your little girl.
Yes.
Little world changer.
Yes, yeah, she's very strong-willed. She knows what she wants.
She can get what she wants just by a look.
Is that right?
Yeah. She commands the world through looks. Yeah. She's just
Is it the eyes or is it the smile or what is it?
Oh, she's just got very knowing eyes, hasn't she?
She has.
And Dylan, your son, is so gentle and sweet.
Yes.
I mean, he's active and that.
Yeah, they're quite different in that way.
They're very different.
Yeah. They do get along quite well, really, because they kind of complement each other in that way. I think Dylan might sort of be a little bit soft on Zoe, but I'm just really careful that she doesn't take over a little bit. But but she's good fun though. Yeah, she's got a bit of spark, which is nice.
Gorgeous kids.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
thank you.
Carly's a good mum, and and Ricky's a good dad.
He's
looking after Zoe this morning for us. He's taking the morning off work.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Daddy.
I love that about this generation, about your generation with parenting. Like our generation, they didn't even get parental leave. When Tim didn't get any time off when I had my kids, whereas your generation, you can be a little bit more active, which I think's great for the kids.
I do too, and I think, and it's quite surprising when Ricky took time off when Zoe was born. Like a few people were just like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing that Dad's had times off when the baby was born." I'm like, "Yeah, I need him here."
It's a better world for it.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
it's a great win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've been exploring spirituality through looking at what prayer is and how to pray, because Jesus invites us into this awesome way of praying.
Yeah.
So the bit that we're going to focus on today is in verse 12, but I might just read the couple of lines just for a bit of context and then just open floor and we'll see what we get out of it.
Yeah, sure.
See what we think it might mean. So Jesus said, "This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread." And then this is a bit that we're focusing in on today. "Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one." Pretty cool. Forgive us our debts as we've also forgiven our debtors. It's pretty cool. So why did Jesus include that part in there, do you guys think? What does that mean?
I think it gets us thinking about what we owe God and what we owe Jesus. That's what it, because it's in those two parts of us asking for forgiveness for ourselves and then, trying to forgive other people. That's what it got me thinking about is, well, what do I actually owe him? Because with the different translations, like using the word debt, it gives a kind of a different spin on it when it's just the word forgiveness. So I think it just got me thinking about, well, what do I really owe him? And it's my life. It's everything. I can't live without him. There's no going forward, without first getting that forgiveness from him. And and then it makes you think about how you struggle with forgiving other people.
Wow. So that's powerful. So you start from a position of remembering, of gratitude of what you've received first.
I think just because it's worded that way, it just makes you go to that first step first. But it just makes you think more deeply about what that means. What he's done so that you can be set free from the debt as well. And that makes it easier, I think, in some ways to forgive others when they have hurt you. But that's, it's hard. It's still hard to do.
Yeah. That's really good. It's an inspiring point.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add there, Shaz?
I think it's I love the way you kind of put that, because it kind of means that it's a little bit of a rhythm in your life,
Great
a day-to-day rhythm, and it's this rhythm of letting go, being grateful, starting with gratitude, I suppose, in a sense, because you got that reflective thing of, what do I owe God? And then you enter into that gratitude thing. And then from there, it's about letting all the muck go.
Yes.
All that stuff that just piles up, which makes us sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's about you need the freedom from, I think, like to be able to forgive other people, because if you're stuck in there, like it's hard to get out of. Like, and I have been stuck in there, like with holding on to things when I haven't known how to do that, or maybe been pressured to let go of things too soon when I wasn't ready. Like, which I think is a bit dangerous sometimes.
It is.
For sure.
Because it's a process, isn't it? It's a very... I kind of think it's a rhythmic process that God takes us through.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone else can tell you when to do that. Like, I think that's really, it's tricky to do, because, if you're trying to help someone else through something as well, that if they are hanging on to something, it's not good for them and it's not good for the other person, but you can't be the one to tell them the right time to do that or how to do that sometimes.
How do we discern the timing then for both ourselves and helping others?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
I love the authenticity there. What do you reckon? I've got no answer.
I just like the thought that you had about, I suppose, the thing about thinking about what you owe God, like your debt towards God, that's taking responsibility, isn't it? It's not playing below the line. It's not trying to blame or shame anybody else. It's kind of going, okay, well, what's my debt? What might I have on the inside of me and my soul that I actually need to work out with God? That's sort of real mental health check-up, isn't it? Because it's taking responsibility for me, my soul, what's on the inside of me. It's saying, okay, I'm going to have a look in here. I'm going to be brave with God and have a little look on the inside, which I think is such a healthy place to begin.
It's hard to do. Like, if it's something that I think that what I kind of got out of the last 2 weeks of looking at this is just thinking, well, like what do I need to say that I'm sorry for as well? And if it's not kind of immediately obvious, I think a lot of like pride goes into that. Like, I think maybe that's where if you're not really sure, like what you need to ask forgiveness for, I think maybe sometimes it is just pride, like not being able to see it in yourself, like definitely,
great point.
And asking him to show you, like that's what I've had to do, and I will have to keep doing this forever. Ask him to show me, because I don't see it in myself. Like it's easy for us to pick out things in other people, but it's not so easy to and it's a bit scary if you do want to kind of hold the mirror up and see what's underneath. It's a scary idea, like, because nobody wants to think of themselves as being hurtful to other people or or wrong, like it's a lot of pride in that.
We carry these massive blind spots, don't we? You're talking about a real posture of humility that enables you to sort of admit it even when we don't initially see it, I suppose. You can't always see it in yourself. No, that's a great point.
How do you have time to do that rhythm of that question with a little one, like with a toddler? Because that reflective thing, it can take time, can't it?
It does, and I struggle with that because I like to withdraw. Like, I love solitude. This kind of like small group chat. I really love that, but I do need time to myself to reflect on things, and it is hard with young children to do that. So lately I've just been, when I put Zoe to bed, that's kind of the time that I just have to myself, because the kids are busy, like they're on the go, and when you're with them, you want to be with them, like not kind of, and these phones are wonderful things, but they are very distracting, like, and it's easy to get kind of pulled away with those kind of things. But I think it's just in the night time. But I love what David said yesterday about having that time in the morning, and when he was saying, you know, I'll get up at 3:30 to go fishing, but God said, why won't you get up with me? Like, spend time with me. And I think that's a good time to start the day that way. And someone else brought that up yesterday too, like that it struck a chord with them about starting the day with God rather than leaving him until the end, like when you have time to fit him in, kind of thing.
That's great.
I think it is hard though if you're up during the night with little babies, isn't it?
It is, because that's the reality.
Yeah, you don't have a full night's sleep. No. So starting the day, you're often starting from a position of tiredness and fatigue. Let alone anything else. So I think that those moments are snatched. But I think if you snatch the moments and it becomes an intention, I think if the intention's there, then over a lifetime that builds, doesn't it? Whereas if you never have that intention or make that intention, it doesn't become a habit or a rhythm.
It's easy to get discouraged because you don't have this block of time to devote to that reflective, like reading and writing and thinking. But it does help to remember that it is only a short time in their life when they need you so much, and and just to realise it's not going to be like that forever. So you kind of have to make the most of that time when they are small and just do those little things, like you said, to have the intent to keep going. Because like I do find it easy to get discouraged, and I have that kind of like that wide in me of wanting to tick off the to-do list and, you know, like wanting to be good enough, that sort of thing. So it's trying to let go of that feeling like, well, I have to read this much of the Bible every day and I have to spend this much time praying, but just those little things and knowing that, you know, like he knows our hearts anyway. So there's some freedom in that, knowing that, he's not looking for us to, you know, fill every box every day.
It's hard to balance that though, isn't it? The good intentions of wanting to do this as opposed to it just become this legalistic framework that you have to do to be able to, you know, find the will of God.
Or the opposite, where if I can't do it properly, then I'm not going to do it at all. Whereas I often think, you know, in 5 minutes you can confess a lot of stuff in 5 minutes.
It's like when I do my journaling, often I try to do it in the morning, and I can just, like, most times I just punch it out like real quick. Like, no one's got, like, it doesn't take long to down a coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have a lot of time. But Eric, if she sits down to do her journaling, like, it's a long time. It's an essay. It's 5,000 words, which is really tough for her.
But I was going to say, I think it's better to build those little rhythms, because when you get to my age, if you don't deal with this stuff, like if you don't deal with your debt, you're a vinegar. You're not a good red wine. You're this vinegar, this person who's negative, who sees life through bitter lenses, and you've clocked up all this yuck on the inside. So it's a little bit like somebody who's really, really obese. It becomes this gigantic mountain that you have to deal with. And it just gets so hard, whereas I think it's easier just to eat little bits that are healthy day by day rather than allowing your soul to clog up with all this stuff you got to deal with later.
Yeah, that's a great point. You often talk about that becoming vinegar or wine as you get older.
Yeah, well, you see it, don't you? I mean, it becomes very distinctive. Although I suppose even in young people today, I see it. I don't know. I think we're grooming our young people to see through a lens that I don't think is necessarily healthy. So we're seeing that vinegar in the spirit.
What do you think What do you think it's that there's more inputs now? So whereas before it took X amount of years have, you know, all those inputs to be able to build up to that mountain that you're talking about, whereas now because there's so many more messages.
Yeah, and we just don't teach forgiveness. We don't teach to hold accounts. We don't teach to take responsibility. You know, it's always somebody else's fault that I am the way I am, rather than, well, that stuff's on the inside of me, so I have to deal with what's on the inside of me.
There's something real spiritual and real miraculous about letting go, isn't there? There's a deep work that's happening. It's not just on the surface, is that? And there's so much freedom in it. Like, because if you know, come from that kind of thinking of trying to get there yourself and do the work, like you can't ever get there. So it's you setting yourself up to fail. So
kind of letting it go and letting him step in for you. Like, that's something that I've probably learned in the last couple of months, like from mature Christians, is like, you know, you got to stop kind of striving to get there yourself. Like, you have to ask him to stand in for you, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to go into bat for you, like, and do for you what you can't do for yourself.
And there's freedom in acknowledging that, isn't it, where we kind of acknowledge this and then we kind of let God take over for what we can't do for ourselves. There's freedom there.
And we're often very stubborn about that.
Well, sometimes too, I think it's that we don't know how to do it.
No.
Like, it is a rhythm. It is it's kind of like a breath, isn't it? It's kind of like where we just deliberately have to stop and we say, okay, this is what I need you to take from me, and then you go, okay, now it's over to you. That's some people don't even know how to do that, because they still think they have to make it happen for themselves.
And if you're not taught, if you don't have people around you, like to show you how to do that in practice, then and with him, like, humility is really important, I think, in that, you know, because it's easy for us to want to cling to a person or someone that's tangible in front of us and kind of go, oh, well, that's what I want to be. Like God sometimes seems unreachable because we can't see him, can't touch him, talk to him, you know, like this. It's a different kind of, a different level of communicating with him. But so it's, tempting to want to look for people to, you know, like kind of help you with that stuff, which, you know, it is helpful, I think, to have people around you that can guide you in that way. But you ultimately need him to stand in for you. And
Thanks for joining us so far in this conversation. We'll be back to it in just a moment. We want to take a moment to share with you one of our favourite prayer guides. It shows 3 really simple ways that you can pray. You can download this great resource from our website at www.tailracecommunitychurch.com.au/services. Now back to the conversation.
How did you find people to put yourself around to model this sort of stuff? Like,
well, I think a lot of it is to do with finding a good church. And so when Ricky and I first moved back to Tassie, like, I kind of church hopped and shopped around. And I found some beautiful churches with lovely people. And because Dylan was only 2 at the time, it was important for me to find somewhere that I thought he would enjoy. So that's how I started going to Tailrace, and I think when you walk in the doors there, there's just, I think lots of people have said this, there's just this kind of automatic sense of there's no mask, so you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. And if you're struggling, you can say you're struggling. You don't have to put on a front. And then I could just see, I think, in a few people that there was genuine love and care for others. And there's been a couple of people outside of Tailrace too that have just modelled that really well. I think people can see it when it's true, like when it's real. I think most people can kind of get the sense. There's still things that distract, and make you doubt. But but I think it has been really important for me to be in a community where I feel like I could go to Sharon and say, I don't understand this, or I don't get this, or I'm really struggling with this thing, and just to be honest and truthful about it, because that hasn't always been the case for me. Like, I've sort of felt like I've had to live up to an expectation or something. So there is so much freedom in being able to just be a human and admit that it's hard to live like Jesus.
That's good.
And that's part of asking God to forgive our debt and forgiving other people. It's kind of like, God, there's so much that I don't know and I don't understand. And even in that, when you say that, you then give that freedom to other people, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Which then makes it easier for them,
I think,
to journey as well.
Yeah, when you say you don't have all the answers.
It says it beautifully in the message.
I was just about to ask that. I saw that you wrote that there.
So do you want me to read about the connection in prayer or the...
both.
Whichever bit speaks to you.
Our Father in heaven, reveal who you are, set the world right, do what's best as above so below. Keep us alive with 3 square meals. Keep us forgiven with you and forgiving others. Keep us safe from ourselves and the devil. You're in charge. You can do anything you want. You're ablaze in beauty. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, and then it sort of goes on to say in prayer there's a connection between what God does and what you do. You can't get forgiveness from God, for instance, without also forgiving others. If you refuse to do your part, you cut yourself off from God's part. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That sort of sets the tone, I think, for that second part. With,
What there in the language just grabs you, just captures your attention?
Well, I think the simplicity of it. This is why I like
the
this.
earthiness.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like just putting it into language that we would use every day helps a lot. It helps me let go of that religious kind of stuff, and it's just the truth. Like it's just simple and easy to understand.
Yeah.
When Eugene Peterson was writing the message, he spent 3 years listening to his congregation and how they talked, so that then he could figure out, how can I put this in a language that they actually already speak?
Yeah. I just think it makes it, especially if you're a new Christian, it makes it so much easier to get your head around those ideas.
It's a wonderful translation.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of motivation in there to forgive, isn't there? Once you understand how it blocks your connection with God.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like, if you don't want to cut yourself off from that.
No.
So,
and that's the beauty when you're first in faith, isn't it? Because that relationship, God's so exciting and he's near and it's all new and you just don't want anything to get in the way. You have that kind of like that anticipation and that, you know, that kind of almost like nervous energy, like to want to go and just tell everybody. Well, it's so sad when you see somebody who just cannot and will not forgive. The bitterness is just awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you want to rip it out of them because it's just damaging them, it damages their kids, damages everything.
Yes, absolutely.
But you can't, because it's theirs.
Yeah.
It's their rock.
Do that.
You can't do anything about it except encourage and pray and love them in it, but it's hard.
It is, definitely. I think it's hard to forgive people if, you know, the hurt hasn't been acknowledged as well. Like that's really tricky to do. Like if they don't, you know, they're not apologising or don't recognise even that it's had such a big impact. Like,
hard.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's very difficult to do.
We might bring this one to a bit of a close, I think. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Anything that we've missed?
No.
It's been
It's been a good conversation.
Yeah, it's really made me reflect on that that rhythm to it, I suppose, of just slowing down and, you know, that gratitude of what I've been forgiven of and then what do I need to forgive in others.
Yeah, I think that was a profound thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Anyways, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. We really enjoyed the conversation. If you enjoyed it too, why not share it with a friend? You might be able to help them discover a little bit more in their journey with God as well. You can also go to our website where we've got the resource, How to Pray, and if you want to connect with us, you can find out how there. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next.